Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and today I wanted to show you a wand character that I've started and pretty much completed the game with as of this point. This character you're seeing right now is the one I made about 3 months ago, for those that remember, and it was a Raider life-based wander, scaling physical and chaos to then do some poison damage, and it wasn't all that great because I didn't put too much currency into it, so I wanted to go in again with a fresh approach with a much bigger investment into it to see just how great a wander could potentially be in today's environment with barrage rather than any sort of kinetic blast frostwall interaction, and still sticking to a sort of budget, but going as all out as I'm willing to do anyway. So what I meant by that was just getting a 6-link using the things you're supposed to do to scale barrage, like a Helm Enchant, a Dying Sun, and some other nifty things like a Sin's Rebirth, which is something new to the whole wanding arsenal, and just pretty nice gear overall. So I was going into this one trying my best to see if wanders can be viable at a less than mirrored gear budget, essentially. Something that, someone with a decent bit of currency can actually aim towards and then build themselves, because halfway through the league at this point, I personally have found several Dying Suns, I'm well capable of buying 6-links, and I'm well capable of building a wander of this sort of standard without having to completely break the budget or the bank, and I wanted to see if it was worth maybe aiming towards in future leagues as well, because right now, wanders on a budget are pretty shit, in my opinion. You pretty much cannot start out a wander by itself early on in a league without a aura supporter right next to you and have any sort of good success on single target. Kinetic Blast itself is still incredible and very amazing, but it just doesn't make up for the fact that your single target is almost going to not exist unless you have the right tools at your disposal to get insane single target. So as I'm talking over the top of this, you can see there is quite a lot of single target damage in this build at the moment, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. So far, I'd say it's probably the most single target damage I've dealt on a character in the Breach League. This is an example of a poison immune fight even, which is Hydra, and my character is almost entirely scaling poison here. So you can see even with that, it does quite a lot of damage, because poison is supposed to be a huge boost to a build like mine, and Hydra and Chimera, both of those in particular, are supposed to be complete cock blocks to those builds, and it should take a very long time to kill these bosses. But that is not entirely the case, since the barrage projectiles, and I'll show you exactly what's going on in the character, all of it just ends up giving you still quite a lot of front-loaded damage while also having a lot of poison damage in tow, ready to go whenever you can. So Chimera here, once again, immune to poison, can still take him down in a round of flasks when need be, and these are just a few little clips from the past couple days I've been playing of all of the Guardians, more or less, and I'll have much more in-depth Guardian fights, hopefully, when I run some more maps tomorrow, as well as maybe some Uber Siri, another Shaper, and maybe a Chayula run too, demonstrating the power of the single target of a wander with a decent amount of gear and budget. But I'll go over what the character is at the moment. So I'll just say real quick that my approach for this wander this time around was to try and go pretty much all out on my DPS potential and see if it's got enough to be able to do everything I want it to, and comfortably do Guardians, Shaper, all that, and then I'm maybe going to be taking away layers of DPS and add survivability to build a more, overall perfected character. But I want to first of all see how the single target could perform on a relative amount of currency without fully breaking the bank. And what I came up with, is an Occultist, and the reason for that is because power charges are a very big deal as a wander, and having auto gain of power charges is very nice, and I certainly wasn't going to use Skyforth because they're very expensive. On top of that, you do get some minus chaos resist here, which is quite a big deal for your poison and chaos damage initially, and then I could also fit in a third curse instead of just running 1, 2, or 3 curses. I'm going, instead of just 1 or 2, I'm going for 3 curses thanks to Malediction. So overall, some pretty nice stuff, and also it was helped to supplement my energy shield because I was planning to run a Cospre's Will. So I'm a fully energy shield based build, and I'm running Cospre's Will, so my chest gives absolutely no energy shield. In the end, I've so far managed to scrape up 8.7k ES, and I was happy with anything 8k and over if I had the DPS. You can, of course, build this character a bit more into something like 10,000 ES, but you'll see in a second that I've opted for more damage rather than energy shield in certain situations. So the wand I made, I was going to more or less let it dictate what the character was going to look like, and it was tyrannical and then incision, so the fizz and the crit, and I managed to regal lightning damage. I just master crafted some fizz. It is worth multi-modding, but I didn't really bother doing that just yet because didn't feel like spending the 2 exalts, and so it's mostly just physical damage, but it is a good bit of lightning as well, which helps out. And currently my damage is like 50% fizz, or more like 30% fizz, 20% lightning, and let's say 50% chaos. Because the idea is to scale a lot of chaos and then get a lot of poison. So we are using the added chaos gem, and the way we're getting single target, if you're unaware, for barrage is the Dying Sun, 2 additional projectiles, and 2 additional barrage projectiles there. So your barrage starts off with a base, here we are, a base of 3 projectiles. Getting 4 additional projectiles means instead of shooting 3 every time you attack, it shoots 7. It doesn't make the animation longer, it doesn't make anything else more expensive. It just means you'll be shooting 7 instead of 3, so that's something like 130% increase on damage just by itself through those 2 avenues. Now the Dying Sun, currently something like 8 exalts. A barrage enchant I bought for 2 exalts. It's probably going to be more, but it's very valuable to this sort of build. I think you could go without one or the other at this stage, I'd say, and if I were you guys, I'd probably pick up a Dying Sun and forget the enchant on the helm, because it's pretty hard to build or buy and then roll a good helm for it. And Dying Sun's just amazing for kinetic blast as well, because it gives you 2 additional projectiles as well as the increased area. So essentially, Dying Sun and additional projectiles here gives us all of our barrage damage. And the way you do wander single target now is you put a 6 link in your barrage. Your barrage is then your 6 link, and you run a 4 link on kinetic blast. So kinetic blast, I'm running 4 link of KB, added chaos, GMP, and pierce, because pierce is still pretty damn good for kinetic blast for clearing packs. It doesn't need any more than a 4 link. Kinetic blast is OP as fuck for clearing things, so that's all we do. Your single target is where you really want the extra damage, so that's where we put the 6 link, which is currently, most of the time I'm playing as barrage, void manipulation, added chaos, slower projectiles, pierce, and faster attacks. When I want to go for the real big boy DPS and I can do some face tanking, I'll put in point blank instead of faster attacks, because that is 50% more damage when you're standing next to things, and quite often you will get to do some of that face tank. Aside from that, Sin's Rebirth gives a whole bunch of extra chaos damage because I am scaling a lot of physical, and that helps out our chaos and then poison. There's Sin's Rebirth. That's a huge extra amount of chaos damage. At Series Flask, huge extra amount of chaos damage, and it's where I get all of my leech. I'm also running a projectile weakness on Blasphemy, which is a rather large amount of damage taken from projectiles. As you can see here, 53%. So that'll also scale your poison. Also the pierce chance is pretty good. And then I'm also running 2 more curses in the form of Assassin's Mark and Vulnerability. Both of those are attached to Orb of Storms, so I'll just run up to bosses, press an Orb of Storms. That's a triple curse right there. You don't need 3 curses while clearing, just the one on Blasphemy is plenty. And that's the playstyle, and I will show more of it in the coming days. I'll probably have another video about most of the boss fights and maybe some more map clear speed and all that. Currently the character's level 89. It's more or less got everything I want it to have. You're going around picking up projectile damage, chaos and fizz. Got Valpact here, got Ghost Reaver here, scaling chaos so that you get lots of poison damage too, but you know, it's just poison chaos scaling at its finest with some additional barrage projectiles, and it's very adequate damage and it's very doable as a wander. It's been a lot of fun, and I do think if you can afford to get at least one of these 2 items and some good gear, then it's worth playing the wander. I'll chuck up the rest of my gear in the thread I have so you can check it out yourself. I've put probably about 1 exalt into each of these items. This I made myself. this I made myself, and this I made myself, but everything else costs about an exalt each. The ideal wand, I should mention, is physical with added chaos. Just an added chaos one with a bit of fizz would perform quite similar to my wand right now, and I'll probably try and craft a wand tomorrow as well. For now, that's all I'll leave you with. It's just a bit of an overview of the character, and I'll be playing around with it more tomorrow and maybe another day. Wanding, so far pretty fun. I might try out another one in the form of Pathfinder or Inquisitor, so stay tuned for that in the coming weeks or so. But yeah, wanding so far on about a 20 exalt budget, very fucking good. And it's a bit of a shame that it takes that, but it is what it is, and it's a lot of fun if you can get it. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.